chess was a ruse de guerre. We needed to do everything quickly before the players realized the gravity of our situation, before the goblin army reached the fortress, and most importantly, before the second player wave arrived. In other words, the plan's key feature was speed, and time was running out. For this reason, only an elite squad, consisting of several dozen players, had moved out in the direction of the fortress. The main force would arrive later. Just an hour of jogging, sometimes switching to a fast walk, made me appreciate how sensible it had been to raise my stamina to 10. A pace that would have exhausted me yesterday now made me feel like I could run like this forever. Until it got dark, at least. I hence gave up on the idea of learning horse riding. What was the point if I was my own horse? Instead, I invested the points I had gained into minor magical ability, increasing it to level 2, 6 of 120. It meant +1 to wisdom after all. The Scald card looked pretty useless, but it didn't require any points, so I didn't see a reason in discarding it. Would you like to learn the Scald skill? Yes? No? I confirmed my choice and was plunged into the rich world of local folklore. I could summarize goblin poetry as simply, describe what you see. As in skaldic poetry, there was no place for make-believe, with poems serving as a way to report things the skald had witnessed. The verse content wasn't chosen, but was dictated by reality. Artistic meaning was theoretically absent, since it equated to a lie, but the truth, as always, was in the eye of the beholder. Any event could be described in a way that was favorable to you, and in this regard, the goblins' attempts to denigrate their opponents appeared quite naive. Out of curiosity, I tried to follow tradition and immediately composed a visa to reflect my new reality. Brave warriors heading to the evil goblin's fortress, to perform a mighty deed or else prove worthless. Only the horse is bound to survive, unless I kill it myself. What a load of garbage, I said with some satisfaction. It seemed that I had awakened my inner literary critic rather than a skald. The card hadn't actually bestowed me with poetic talent. Perhaps you couldn't awaken something that never existed in the first place. Unless we were talking about corpses and necromancy, of course. Well, back to today's agenda. How long before you'd come back to life as a ghoul after you were killed, Chuchuk? The horse trotting beside me aimed its teeth in my direction, and I gave the reins a warning tug. Chuchuk had taken an immediate dislike to me and showed it in every possible way, constantly trying to kick, bite, or accidentally bump into me. I returned in kind, smacking him in response, and had even come up with a new name in a fit of inspiration. It was perfect. Perhaps my poetic gift isn't so bad after all. The horse, unsurprisingly, didn't reply. Despite all the horses we had captured, we still didn't have a cavalry. Some of the players could ride, but the goblin horses simply ignored the usual commands. Without the skills or knowledge, they could only be used as pack animals or as walking canned food. Some of the animals were calmer, but I had no choice in this instance. Chuchuk carried his master on his back, and I doubted the goblins would believe the upcoming performance if the corpse was to return to the fortress on a different horse. It hadn't been easy to recreate the horse plus rider plus his possessions ensemble. Seriously, the skald skill was useful after all. I now had knowledge not only of the rules of versification, but also of goblin culture, history, customs, mythology, and heaven knows what else. Strangely, it was all very unstructured, fragmented, and required reflection, the opposite of basic cards. I had a suspicion that the system had created the card right on the spot, due to the action of the duelist skill. All this knowledge would be very useful if I was planning to infiltrate the goblin society as a spy. We've never seen a black man in these parts, I chuckled, remembering an old joke about an American secret agent abandoned in the USSR. It wasn't very politically correct by today's standards. Should I tell it to Bill? However, while I could afford to have some fun, most had much